So, PC Rachel Komoto and PC Stephen Smith have been acquitted of ABH at Southwark Crown Court. Had their initial account been taken at face value, all they did was disarm a dangerous assailant who lunged at them with a knife. An account that would have had them inaugurated into the police hall of heroism without further question, if it weren't for the press getting hold of the true facts. The assailant was a one-legged, 92-year-old man in a wheelchair inside the empty room of a care home, wielding a round-ended butter knife. And the officers resorted to steel baton strikes, pava spray, and eventually a taser to incapacitate him, all within 80 seconds of entering the room.
Keep the knife down, mate, for me. Or you'll be spraying with tasers, it's up to you. You want to put it down for me?
Come on, just chuck it on the floor for us.
Put it on the floor.
Come on.
Put it on the floor.
We don't want to hurt you.
Donald, don't be silly. Put it on the floor.
Police officer with a taser.
Step out, guys. Put it down, mate. Come on, Donald, put it down. Don't be silly. We can solve this without having to resort to this. Yep, put the knife down.
Just throw it on the floor.
Just pop it down for me, on the floor. Pop it on the floor. Donald, pop it on the floor. As many as we need. Put the knife on the floor now, or you'll be sprayed. Do as you're told. Put it down. Put it down. Donald, put it down.
Seriously?
Last chance.
Can you just hold that door? I can't get a good angle.
Donald, put it down. Put it down now. Come on.
Last chance.
Right, put it down. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Put it on the floor.
Do it now. Drop the knife.
Donald, drop the knife.
Donald.
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down!
Taser, taser!
After the incident, PC Komoto and Smith laughed and joked about how much pava spray had been discharged into the face of Douglas Burgess. PC Smith bragged about it being a standoff and that he had delivered one of his specials to resolve it. Komoto subsequently posted derisory remarks on social media about the incident, the details of which have not been made public. It was most likely this callous behaviour after the incident that tipped the scales in favour of prosecution. At trial, the question put to the jury was whether the officers' actions were reasonable and necessary in the circumstances. The jury decided that they were. Given the police's reputation for turning up 12 deep for even the most routine incidents, clubbing, spraying and electrocuting anything that doesn't do as it's told, it's hardly surprising that these officers' actions appeared reasonable to a jury. But Komoto and Smith's use of force wasn't reasonable. It was typical. It was exactly what you'd expect from our current crop of officers who have zero de-escalation skills, no sense of proportion, and are entirely risk-averse to even the most routine of call-outs. They resort to extreme force out of anger, not necessity, then justify it all in the interests of keeping everyone safe. Komoto ticked every excuse on the police use of force form, declaring that she believed the one-legged, wheelchair-bound 92-year-old was about to make an imminent escape. Under cross-examination, the prosecutor queried her on this. "Where did you think Mr. Burgess was going to escape to?" he asked. "The only route was through the door," Komoto replied. "You're telling us if you didn't fire the taser, he was going to make a break for it?" "There was a potential for it," she said. Komoto even insisted that the reason she decided to taser the pensioner wasn't because she regarded him as a threat, but rather because she regarded her colleague as a threat. Yes, she actually stated that her extreme use of force was to keep Mr. Burgess safe from PC Smith's relentless clubbing of him. If you were worried about Officer Smith hitting him with a baton, why wasn't telling him to stop a better option? Asked the prosecutor. "In hindsight, with all the information I have now," Komoto replied. "It's not rocket science, is it? Why taser someone to stop a baton strike instead of just saying, 'Steve, stop'?" "I don't control my colleague," said Komoto. "I don't know if he would have heard me. He was focused. Focused. Not how I would have described Smith's demeanour. Bored, more like.
Come on, Donald, put it down.
Then irate when his shouting wasn't heeded. Then positively pissed off when somebody dared to raise a butter knife in his direction. This kind of reasoning, or lack thereof, by Smith and Komoto makes stupidity look genius by comparison. It typifies the Alice in Wonderland logic applied by officers who don't need to think up rational excuses for their misconduct because they know that whatever they say will be accepted without question. Not so in this case, because Komoto and Smith hit something that mattered more than anything else to the top brass of policing. Headlines. Unwilling to trot out the usual excuses for this kind of police violence, Sussex Police and the CPS officially sacrificed the hapless pair to a criminal prosecution. Actually, sacrificed isn't the right word. Gambled is more appropriate, because the CPS knew that a jury wouldn't convict, which is why they brought the prosecution in the first place. It was nothing more than a show trial to assuage newspaper headlines published in the interests of that legal fiction known as public outrage. When the expected verdict came in, Assistant Chief Constable of Sussex Police, Paul Court, was wheeled out to deliver the usual empty platitudes to the nation's press.
Firstly, I would like to acknowledge how incredibly difficult this period must have been for Mr. Burgess's family, and I offer them my sincere condolences. I recognise and understand the impact this case has had on public confidence. It is with profound regret this happened. Police officers can find themselves in challenging and unpredictable situations where they must make split-second decisions to keep the public safe, and to do so with measure, compassion and skill. We support them to do this, and it's what our communities expect. Use of force must be reasonable, necessary and proportionate, and officers know they will be held accountable for their actions every time. The officers in this case have been held accountable to a criminal threshold, and we respect the jury's decision. While this concludes the criminal investigation, both officers will now face gross misconduct proceedings.
Clearly, Paul Court knows nothing about frontline policing if he thinks that reasonableness, necessity and proportionality are factored into the police's thinking before they resort to force. They're not. These principles have been abandoned in favour of a single criterion: justification. An assessment made after the fact, never before it. And justification is typically whatever excuse the police dream up to evade accountability. In this case, the justification given by PC Smith was that had he not acted immediately, the pensioner might have turned the knife on himself. Despite the fact that the pensioner's threats were directed initially at care home staff, who then wheeled him down the corridor while he was still holding the knife, locked him in a room for 30 minutes and then called the police. But even if we accept PC Smith's motive as correct, is it acceptable for police to use extreme force on the basis that a person might turn a knife on themselves? Well, the jury seem to think so. It's the police who can't decide. Take Police Scotland, who in 2020 surrounded a knifeman threatening self-harm at a mainline station. A group of officers stood there for 4 hours before arresting him, causing over 100 trains to be cancelled, delayed or diverted. Meanwhile in Southampton, police negotiated for 12 hours with a man standing on a shed roof holding a knife to his chest. And if you're locked inside a property threatening self-harm, in Sheffield, the police will shut off the city centre for 2 days and launch protracted negotiations, providing suitable refreshments, of course, to ensure that the individual threatening self-harm doesn't actually come to any harm. If only the police had considered such strategies with Mr. Burgess. Would a cup of tea and a plate of digestives been a more appropriate form of de-escalation than a solid clubbing, peppering and tasering? We'll never know. The self-congratulatory statement made by Paul Court that officers who misuse force will be held to account is corporate rhetoric. As this case proves, the only chance you stand of officers ever being held to account is if you get the nation's press behind you. And even then, the best you can hope for is a half-cocked, lukewarm prosecution. In this instance, the state prosecutor was practically mitigating for the officers from the outset, making it clear that Douglas Burgess's death 3 weeks later had nothing to do with the police assault upon him, despite the fact that it was the officer's assault that landed him in a COVID-infected hospital in the first place, where he eventually died. Rather than conducting show trials, what the authorities should be doing is launching an official inquiry into the repeated and casual misuse of force that occurs daily across the nation, handcuffing passive suspects, using threats of arrest to extract on-the-spot answers, sending a scrum of officers to arrest one individual, and of course the casual misuse of pava, taser, baton, fists and verbal abuse, all routinely meted out, not in the interests of safety, but in the interests of the officer concerned. Copper Stopper is out now in paperback. It's packed with essential guidance on hundreds of law enforcement scenarios, traffic stops, home visits, street encounters, interviews, arrests, allegations, and covering victims of crime. It's your ultimate defence to protecting you from them. Follow the links in the description to purchase a copy today.